Good day, everybody. My name is Johan from SDFCorp, and for those of you that don't know us yet, we specialize in helping companies comply with some of the most challenging legislations out there, namely BEE, employment equity, skills development, occupational health and safety, and employee relations. This also means that we help employers implement training like your learnerships, apprenticeships, and skills development programs. And we work with a lot of enterprise and supplier development within our industry. And we meet up with a lot of dynamic, up and coming businesses with some very passionate people. Now, one of the great things of what we do and what the work is that we do is that every now and again we find a business venture or a course that is just so uplifting that we decided to share these stories with you. And so, for the very first time in SDF Corp history, we will be shining the spotlight on South Africans doing amazing work. Today, we put the spotlight on BenPeta, an organization that is doing some great work in the sustainability and creating a better future for South Africans. With us here, we have Ntobeko Boyana, Director of BenPeta Holdings on the line. Ntobeko, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Johan.
So
Thank you for having us.
It's a great pleasure. So without wasting any more time, let's get straight into the session. So tell us, what does BenPeta do?
BenPeta does what we refer to as waste reuse. As you would know, traditionally for the longest of times, globally and in South Africa, the way we are dealing with waste, it's more of a linear approach where you dispose after, you have used. So our approach, is in line with the circular economy to say, what else can be done with waste? So we analyze waste and then we find areas where it can be used as raw material into other processes.
That's fabulous. Now, Ntobeko, can you tell us about specific projects that you and your team have completed?
About this specific project, we focus on wastewater reuse, and we came across this technology about a year ago. So what we have done in response to the challenges that we have as a country, especially that one of schools not having access to water and sanitation, we are packaging this technology as a water and sanitation solution to schools that do not have access to water and sanitation. Currently the figure stands at more than 3,000 schools that do not have access to water and sanitation in the country. So, the specific wastewater reuse then is to address exactly that project. And with SDFCorp, we are particularly looking for partnerships with private sector to actually provide, this needed service, to the schools that need it most. And, I remember in the Sustainable Infrastructure Development Symposium, South Africa, that was held on the 23rd of June, 2020. The president there is calling for the concerted and focused effort, from both private and public sector to ensure a water secure South Africa. So, we are part of a network that has installed more than 270 of these on-site wastewater treatment plants in 9 countries in Africa since 2010. And if you look at that number, only 4 has been, installed in schools. There's 2 schools in South Africa, 1 in Mozambique and 1 in Kenya. The bulk of those has been in farms, restaurants, office building, and private residences. So the packaging of this technology, as a solution to schools, that is what we are focusing on in this particular project.
That's perfect. And I mean, the flagship of this project is mainly focused down in the Western Cape. I mean, it's such a great initiative and project that you guys are doing. And I mean, with the Western Cape, throughout the last few years, you had a lot of problems with water, low water levels. And you also sit with a lot of rural areas where this could be greatly beneficial.
Yes, most definitely. You know, the flagship that you are talking about in the Western Cape, it's right in the middle of town, in the Department of Environmental Affairs offices. And you know, that is a flagship because when it comes to wastewater reuse, the issue of legislation and compliance, it always comes up. But to have this technology, you know, right, you know, at the department where, you know, they are the custodians of compliance and you know, environmental issues throughout the country, it is, you know, really, you know, a flagship installation. And if you look at rural areas, you know, traditional infrastructure of piping water to these parts of the country, and also piping water away, you know, wastewater to centralized wastewater treatment works becomes, you know, a challenge, you know, a very expensive one as well. So this is, you know, where, you know, decentralized system like ours solve such problems.
Of course, yes. And I mean, it's a great opportunity, first of all, for companies to jump on this opportunity to offer their assistance, you know, for government to actually start doing what they said they're going to do. And specifically in the Western Cape, there's so many of your engineering firms and factories that surround these areas that, I mean, it's technically going green at the end of the day. It's a great initiative. It's for the people, for the children, for the schools, and then obviously for the environment, which is, you know, it's simply fantastic that what you guys are doing. And obviously you have done a lot of studies on this technology that you guys are implementing. But just taking a step a little bit towards the future is, where do you as BenPeta envision yourself and the projects over the next 5 to 10 years?
You see, at BenPeta, we see this solution and the work we do as part, you know, of the concerted and focused effort that we spoke about earlier to ensure water secure South Africa and actually the entire continent. We just did a rough arithmetic. In the Eastern Cape, there is 1,598 schools that still use pit latrines, only in the Eastern Cape. So it
Mm.
will take doing 73 schools per annum until my retirement. So, you know, this is not something we can do on our own. There are many other technologies similar to ours that, you know, can be looked at to make sure that, you know, we go into the future as a water secure country. You know, if you look at the Sustainable Development Goal number 6, you know, which talks about clean water and sanitation for all. And the target is to have met that by 2030. But if you look at the cost required to take us towards achieving that goal by 2030 using the traditional means, the amounts of money required are extremely high. And I think the United Nations talk about, you know, some countries will fall short by 60% of the funds that are required to reach that goal. So it is where solutions like ours, which focuses on sustainability, as you mentioned in your opening remarks, because you keep on reusing wastewater, and by doing that, you are saving the potable water sources for the country. Because, you know, despite all the water challenges that we have, you've mentioned the drought that we just came out of in the Western Cape. In this country, the majority of people, we still use fresh potable water to flush toilets, and that cannot be sustainable.
Most definitely. And just briefly mention, I mean, we mentioned that this is the flagship project that you guys are utilizing within the Western Cape. But the great thing about this system and the sustainability thereof, as you mentioned in the beginning, is that we can implement this not just across South Africa, but across the world. But we've got so many provinces, and I'm using the Northern Cape for as an example, you know,
Mm.
where they haven't had any rain recently over the couple of years, and they really are suffering from a tremendous drought, and that affects people in a negative way. And this is such a great business venture and case that you guys are doing. More and more companies, people, and governmental institutions can get behind this and make this a reality. I mean, like you mentioned briefly, that this will keep you busy until your retirement. I mean, you're still young, so we've got a couple of years left in you. But that's 10 years from now. Well, taking that 2020 with all of the COVID-19 precautions that we had in place, it did put a certain damper on it. So technically, there's 9 years left to implement these systems. So from your side, how can businesses, non-profit organizations, or even governmental institutions help you make the difference and get more involved with your company and what you do?
As a company, we strongly believe in multilateral partnerships. This technology on its own, is not a silver bullet that will fix all the sanitation problems that we have in schools.
For sure.
There is maintenance, there is cleaning of the sanitation facilities themselves, to ensure proper working of this technology, for the duration of its lifespan. Non-profits and government departments, are there. They are present on the ground, in whatever area we might have this installed, compared to us being based in the Western Cape. They are present, on the ground. So we invite them to be part of this solution, to come and say, what is it that they can offer, to ensure that, we build a better South Africa. As Dr. Ruel Koza puts it, he says it is not figure outable. He says, no matter how clever you are, you can't sit in a corner and think you will come up, with all the solutions. So as BenPeta, we can't do it alone, and we will never claim that we can.
Most definitely, yes. And as I mentioned previously, that it's such a great opportunity for the private sector, your businesses and your governmental institutions to actually get together, stand together, and be the difference that we envision South Africa and where we want to be going forward towards the future. I mean, we're such a reliable country, and we've got so many great people. I do not foresee that this could at any stage actually not be doable, that we can't implement this. And I mean, all we really can do from now going forward is make people aware of your business and the technology that you use, and get those role players together and start taking a hold of the future. I mean, this is for South Africans as a whole. It's better for the country. Everybody wants to be part of a better future. So that's perfect. I really do thank you, Ntobeko, for taking the time to talk to us today and joining us and giving us a better, bigger picture of what's actually going on there and what is out there. It was great talking to you. We look forward to seeing the amazing things that you and your team at BenPeta are going to do and what you will achieve. And just for the listeners out there, if you want to support them and get involved with BenPeta and the team that there's of their sustainable solutions, get in touch with them. Visit their website at benpeta.co.za. That's benpeta.co.za. So that's it for our Spotlight feature this afternoon. If you'd like to be featured, you can get in touch with our comms team by sending an email to marketing@sdfcorp.co.za. And we can keep telling the stories of the South Africans making a change in their everyday life. To follow us for upcoming stories, you can find us on Facebook at SDFcorp and visit our website at sdfcorp.co.za to sign up for our newsletters and get in touch with our team. And that's it, guys, from the SDF Corp Group. Thanks for joining us.